Good afternoon, everyone. It's been a real pleasure to be here once again, in presence of Anurag Batra, a very close friend. Started the career with him, and it's been now more than 25 years knowing him, and this entire team. Out of the 16, events which he has organized, I would have been here at least 8 to 10 times, moderating or maybe participating in the event. I think really, Anurag, this has been your contribution. Though you spent very limited period in real estate, but the services which you have been able to provide to this industry, it has been a great contribution. And really, thank you from the bottom of the heart for this contribution. Also to the entire team of Realty Plus, they have been, consistently doing this event. What Anurag mentioned just now about 15 cities they are now getting into. It's really, it's an exciting and wonderful journey for the Realty Plus team. And also, it's not a small work, doing this kind of an event in 14 cities across India and, inviting eminent panels for all these events, and the chief guest is not in a small event. And big round of applause for the entire Realty Plus team and Chakrabarti for doing this event. So we have got a very eminent panel today. I do not want to touch upon what Anurag spoke about on some of the advice what he had given in his keynote address, and also some of the points which you highlighted about the real estate, the way the real estate has been behaving post the pandemic. I think he has covered the most. I do not want to repeat, but definitely, India is growing. Indian economy is growing. India is going to become a third largest economy in the world. Stock market is really booming. From the stock market, the money is going to come into real estate, and real estate is really doing very well, especially in the last 3.5 years. Real estate really went through a very tough and a difficult period since 2012, 2011, post the global financial crisis. But the last 3.5 years has been a fantastic journey for most of the asset classes. Even the office segment has bounced back recently, and it has seen a tremendous growth even in the office sector as well. So we'll be focusing more on the NCR because the topic of today's discussion is paradigm shift in the NCR, real estate in the NCR market. So there has been a lot of trends, a lot of changes which has taken place in the NCR real estate. We are going to cover that, and also some of the challenges, especially on the infrastructure side, which is really going to impact the real estate in the future. How these challenges is going to be taken care of, and how it's going to impact the real estate. That's what we are going to discuss with all the eminent panelists. Thank you so much for everyone for being here. First question to Mudassir, since you represent all these sectors, especially covering the IPC, and also you've been you've been into many of the asset classes, managing operations. So my first question to you is, what is the overall picture looks like at this moment, and what are some of the changes you have seen in the NCR market in the last, maybe you can sum it up as prior to the pandemic and then in the last 3.5 years.
Thank you, Santhosh. So we at Lifeline obviously track various parts of the real estate market, residential, commercial, industrial, logistics, etc. There has been a huge change that has come in. Prior to the pandemic, almost from the time of, I would say 2012, 13 onwards till the residential point of view. Commercial obviously was doing very, very well until about the pandemic, and then issues with the pandemic, etc. happened, and the commercial sector also got affected at that time. But post that, I'm seeing major changes in terms of how things are happening. Residential, one major shift that I see is in terms of the premiumization of real estate. There was a time prior to the pandemic where affordable housing was largely what was being talked about. Everybody was focusing on that. Luxury housing was really lagging behind significantly. Hardly any takers for that, or even if there were takers, and people were not ready to pay the kind of values that were expected out of it. So, post the pandemic, that is one thing which is a major thing. So, in terms of the overall, not just the launches, but in terms of the purchasing that is happening, the sales that are happening, there as well, we see that trend significantly. So, in terms of overall numbers, almost about 70% plus of real estate that is being bought right now is on the luxury side, on the premium segment. So that is one major change that we see. The other change on the residential side we're seeing is the densification of property. And so up till now, we used to largely see 1.75 area as largely used. Mostly, for example, from the outside of Noida, we would see higher. But even that has become a huge change. What you see in the last couple of years, a lot of the properties, a lot of the land parcels being bought by developers have largely been at much higher rates, either on BODs or even on through PDRs. So densification is something which is continuing to happen. We're not seeing the end results coming in because they're still work in progress. But in the next 5-7 years, because of the land prices and because of the loading that is happening because of the area, we are seeing a lot of density. So there are a couple of trends that we are seeing very, very significantly happen.
And this is, coming back to the change which has impacted, one of the biggest bottlenecks at this moment is the infrastructure. If you compare it with the Noida, the Gurgaon infrastructure is continuing to be in a poor condition. And the way the construction which is happening in the NCR region, especially the Gurgaon, how do you see, the future of Gurgaon market? And do you see any new geography or micro market which is emerging within the Gurgaon because of the infrastructure bottlenecks?
Gurgaon has been a laggard on the infrastructure side, no doubt about that. We've kind of, or the administration has largely reacted to how things have grown rather than being proactive and building infrastructure. As you rightly said, Noida has been far ahead on that count. And we are already seeing that affecting real estate. The first effects that we are seeing is on the commercial office real estate side. We are seeing that for a long period of time, Gurgaon used to be about 2/3 of the overall space taken up because of that proportion. That proportion is significantly changing now, where Noida is taking up a significant portion as well, where it was about 30-odd% earlier. This is now going up to about 45-50% in some of the quarters that we see. So this is a lead, I would say, a lead story that can, if the infrastructure does not keep up with what the way that things are moving ahead in Gurgaon, we will start seeing that happening on the residential side as well. Because finally, for any market to really grow, the centers of economic activity are really what matters. Now, Noida now has started, why Gurgaon really took the lead over Noida was obviously the proximity to the airport, the overall perception about the law and order situation and various other things. But Noida is not caught up on that significantly. The airport is coming up there, offices are now looking to take up space out there, premium projects are now coming up there. So unless infrastructure is very seriously taken up here in Gurgaon, Gurgaon will start losing its importance the way it is. infrastructure certainly is one aspect that we talked about in terms of the other things about micro markets, etc. Obviously, new micro markets start coming up as and when either when new infra gets announced or when whatever is announced is actually nearing completion. So we're seeing a lot of investment, a lot of interest coming in on new infras that are getting built that are basically exit or entry points to NCR as a location. So a lot of the major highways that are leading to NCR, we are seeing a lot of activity on this. So those micro markets are being very aggressively looking at.
So Rishi, we spoke about infrastructure. Is that the reason why you started off your development from Noida?
Not really. I think for Max Estates, if I have to be candid, we didn't have a choice. We were stuck in a project called Delhi-NCR, which brought us to real estate, so we had to start from Noida.
Yeah, but you started with Delhi only, with refurbishing your existing building. That was your first commercial venture.
That's right.
Then you progressed in Noida. You built 2 buildings now, I think, 2 or 3 buildings, and then now decided to move into Gurgaon. So your journey has been. How was the journey? And if you can elaborate on, since you started initially with the office development, and then now you started to getting into the residential.
That's right. So as Max Estates, we started real estate journey in 2016 as an experiment. And around 2017-18, we really formalized our strategy, Santhosh, to say we will do one region, multiple asset class. For very obvious reason, real estate is a very, very micro play. Multiple geography, multiple asset class has been recipe for disaster. So at that point in time, when we started the journey, as Mudassir said, commercial office was doing well and we were stuck with the commercial office project. So we chose to start in commercial office segment. And we chose to be in Delhi-NCR for very obvious reasons. Number one, it has been a home ground for Max Group, brand equity, and Delhi-NCR, no doubt, is top 2 markets pan-India. And another opportunity that we saw in Delhi-NCR, and that's very interesting fact, if you look at number of developers who were there in 2011, it was somewhere around 125. In 2018, that number dropped to 30, and then significantly low in single digits. Now it's going back, right? So there was a huge opportunity to consolidate. What we also saw was significant opportunity to up the game when it comes to product quality and experience. So if you look at commercial office vector in Delhi-NCR, and Mudassir would know better than me, and if you look at office stock of 700, 800 million square foot, 60-70% are strata sold, fragmented ownership. No way you can create the experience that today's consumer demand. And that's the reason why Max Estates today command 25-30% premium. And finally, there was a huge trust deficit. And coming at the back of insurance and healthcare, and also the passion for real estate, we thought Delhi-NCR is a great opportunity. But we didn't want to aggressively expand in one go. So we started with commercial office, COVID hit, and I can candidly share, all of us really became very nervous because it was just the start of our commercial office. Our flagship commercial office project got launched in 2019. Soon we get caught into COVID. But at the back of product quality and experience, Max Towers and Max House all got leased in the COVID period at premium, which really led to the belief, or really reinforced our belief, that there is a flight to quality, there is a need for quality, and there will be premium for quality. Post-COVID, as Mudassir was explaining, we started seeing the green shoots in residential. And if you have to become a scalable player in one region, you cannot not to be in residential. And that's how we decided to enter residential, launched our first residential in Noida in 2023, and most recently now in Gurgaon. We really hope to bring that quality and experience in this segment as well. There are very few quality players who are able to do that and really serve the consumers of Delhi-NCR.
But Rishi, you have been a pioneer in senior living, well-being, and developed the brand as Max Estate on the real estate, especially on the residential side. People were aware of your brand and the brand equity. But when you were getting into Gurgaon for the first time, and that too on the residential side of it, what are some of the challenges you faced, and how do you see the Gurgaon market going forward?
So let me just touch on 2 or 3 interesting perspectives on that. Purely from a residential standpoint, just to directly answer your question and cover a couple of other interesting points, I think the biggest stuff that we had to crack was the distribution network. 3-4 years ago, when I used to attend industry conferences and introduced myself as from Max, people used to say hospital wali company. Now people understand Max Estates, but in B2C, I was knowing that the Max Estates in residential was not known for, but people were really not aware of. So a lot of effort went into building the brand awareness and building the distribution network for successful launch of residential in Gurgaon. Our endeavor still is, unlike what Gurgaon typically has, which is 90-95% through channel partners who we call live-well partners, our endeavor is to do that 70-75 through and 20-25 as direct. That's the part we are still building, and in our recent launch we were able to cover that up. Other than that, I think one of the things that people don't talk about in these forums, which is largely a Delhi-NCR challenge, also a Gurgaon challenge, is the supply side. We only focus on demand side. But if you look at supply side, the dichotomy is there is enough land available, but there isn't a structured, systematic supply of land happening. And Santhosh, if I take just a couple of minutes for your audience, and if I just give you 2 examples, if you look at Noida to begin with, from 2005 to 2018, that 13-year period, Noida came up with 24 schemes. They came up with allotment of 71 lakh square meters of land. But guess what? Most of that was concentrated in 2005 and 11 and almost negligible thereon. Now Noida is coming back with new allotments. And if you translate that into what kind of supply that will cater to, it was like 10,000 units per year. And that also concentrated in a couple of years. Now you take that story to Gurgaon, and if you look at 2000 to 2023, that bigger period, and if you study DTCP licenses of 1140, 1200 licenses, more than 60% was concentrated in a period of 2008 to 2014. So very volatile, uneven supply of land or licensing of land, clubbed with the issues of shape, size, litigation, all of us are aware of. So I think that's the second piece where we have to put a lot of energy and attention, including I would say really focus on digitization of land and reforming the land supply.
So that will be the solution.
Absolutely.
So Mohit, you have been a pioneer in the affordable housing. Your company has been, I'd say funded by HDFC, because HDFC has saw this opportunity and invested with you because of the philosophy and also the best practices which you used to follow on the affordable housing segment. Mohit, from that perspective, looking at the way land prices have now gone up, and there are not enough lands available in urban areas of, within the NCR market. How do you see the affordable segment growing in NCR region, and what is your plan in order to expand the affordable segment?
So I think affordable's been a segment and a word that's been spoken more but acted upon less. But I think I will tell everyone here that over the past 4 years or 5 years, we've launched up 7,500, 7,600 units. 63% of them have been below 1.5 crore rupees. So that's what we've done. No matter, this is a market where land prices have gone up, we've not seen opportunities, but I think we've stuck to our core and there are, ways to do that. Only 12% have been more than 3 crores. So, below 3 crores is 88% of my product when we launch. And, most of the products get priced at launch and, then there's this resale appreciation which I'm not counting. So there are ways to kind of do it. I think largely what you have, it basically starts with number one, wanting to do it. And that's what we focus on. And it's how you pick your land, where do you go buy it, how do you partner, with the landowners, and how you build your model. I think the second bit that kind of gets in is doing affordable is not just a developer's job, is what we feel. So I think we partner a lot with our suppliers when we do it on innovative solutions around how do I reduce cost. We partner a lot with our landowners that he still gets what he wants, but if I can get an increased duration or I can reduce my cost of financing, it helps build that. Because if I can actually reduce my cost of financing and sell out fast and just fund the construction from the customer's money, that really gets added back into the whole bit of costing. So these are large solutions that you end up doing, but I think the initial bit has to be that I want to do it. Very recently, and I'll give you a story, Gurgaon I think knows it. There is no product in Gurgaon which is 2 crore rupees. And in this market, with these land prices, with this benefit, but at an FAR of about 2.5 and not 3.5, we've done a product at 2 crore rupees, and luckily the market is absorbed well. It's a fairly 1,800 square feet. It's not even a small bedroom that we've done. So it has to basically start with wanting to do it. We do our construction in-house, which shaves off straight 1,500 rupees a square feet. Initially. We also are getting very tech heavy, which means that there's a lot of efficiency built up. There is a lot of decision making that gets faster, and that saves overheads, costs over the next 1 or 2 years. Extra 1 or 2 years that you take on construction. I'll take an example. We launched the first HomeKraft project at 3,200 rupees a square feet in Greater Noida in Sector 10. We made 20% margin in it. By the time it completed, this was in 2018. We launched it. 2022, despite COVID, we completed 20 lakh square feet. So this is an integrated program, and this is not just us, not just one person doing it. And I think that's the large way to go about it.
But what is that 1 or 2 things which you would have innovated to sustain yourself in the affordable segment? Because every developer today is, because of unaffordability, they are moving into a mid or luxury segment. And it looks very good, but I think the pocket of the customer remains on the affordable segment. The price range of 1.5 to 3 crores, that is the range which the end consumer is looking at. Is the developer is betting on that demand?
So I think we thrive on that demand. People funded us on that demand, and that's when we went on. what we largely do is, I think we price the land right. So there is no need to buy a land at 5,000 rupees a square feet on FSI. There is no need. Absolutely no need. You identify pockets. And as the group, I think if you see, we've identified pockets on Dwarka Expressway, we've identified pockets on Yamuna Expressway before it even started, on Greater Noida, before it even started, and then I think the demand then catches up later. So, identify pockets. It starts with land, structuring the land right, and then there's this core which possibly no other company in India does, which is doing your construction absolutely in-house. There is a lot of merit in doing it, and once you do it, I think, you save money and you save time. Those are, land, time, cost. You've done. This is a traditional way of doing business. Stick to it, and I think you'll always be in the money.
Thank you, Mohit. Kalyan, you are the largest developer in the world, and I think, if I correctly remember, I think last year Emaar, Dubai has done a sale of around $32 billion.
32 billion AED.
AED, absolutely. And considering that sale velocity, and I think you have been also doing fairly well even in Gurgaon market. What I want to understand, you are into premium segment, and post-COVID, there has been a big push on the premium segment, and you continue to do very well. So, what are some of the challenges you faced while driving your sales, and what is your expansion plan within India going forward?
So, like you said, firstly, thank you for inviting me, and congratulations to the listing of ANAROCK $3 billion. Anurag advised us to sleep well and put this session immediately after lunch time in the middle, so I don't know where. Normally, I am having a dilemma as to which advice to follow, but nevertheless, as far as Emaar India is concerned, we have had a good year last year. We upped our sales by almost 60% better than the last 20 years. Partly and substantially helped by the market. So the market forces of course enabling. This year also we are poised to grow by similar percentage. So the landscape is nice. I think that's a positive thing. Our land parcels happen to be at the right places. That's another positive. What gives us the comfort and confidence is a leadership team which is very motivated, driven, energized, focused, straight and narrow to the larger goals that we wish to establish. Some of the processes and SOPs, processes and all of that we do, or for that matter, some of the technology implementation that we have done on how things get improved, how things governance side in a corporate setup in particular in real estate, which is not exactly extremely admirable. I think we will be there no doubt, for sure. Definitely in India, the transparency levels of every decision that we take, every decision is thoroughly documented on a digital platform, and the great team stamping and everything is completely complete discipline on that front. It can be boring, it can be bureaucratic at times. Some of the employees do come up to me and say this is but when you sit at the end of the year and you look back at a decision, you are completely comfortable with a particular decision. We also happen to have a particular legacy, heritage, parentage, which requires us to behave in a particular way. So we do have this cultural need to be responsible towards the stakeholders, to make sure that decisions are fairly transparent, the governance framework is completely honored, and the board and the other stakeholders get to know what we are doing and why we are doing what we are doing. So those have been some, and I think one of the points which Rishi has pointed out with respect to distribution, like we are a different challenge of Max being a hospital company getting into real estate. We are a different challenge of a particular legacy with the demerger in between, and hence we went a little slow for almost 5-6 years, and hence to come back into the market and initiate the distribution network, and hence trigger that whole thing up. Took us a while, but fortunately for us, the brand has got a very strong resonance. The brand has delivered fairly well, and with the segment that we operate, most people have been traveled. Most people probably have gone to Dubai, have been to downtown, have seen Burj Khalifa, or at least heard about it, which makes a difference. It helps to initiate a conversation with the channel partner very quickly. So those have been some of the things. And some of our critical elements in the value chain, like let's say design, let's say some of the calls that we take on high risk matter. We have got extremely strong presence in or participation of Dubai senior leadership, the board, in that process. So that helps a lot. Then you have a second pair of eyes, multiple pair of additional eyes and multiple different brains which get into the process. And nothing like cracking a code by ensuring participation. That's something we live by. If you ask anybody who works in our company, you will probably hear that it's a pretty participating culture. So no decision is taken unilaterally, just like at a snap of a finger. So overall, I think that leads to a sustainable business. I don't know what you asked and what I answered. Maybe it is the after effect of the lunch.
No, I think you have not answered my question. What is your expansion in India?
Expansion plan, we are already present in about 6 cities today. We are entering into a couple of exciting cities. Gurgaon and NCR is where we are already there, but in a micro market which is right now Gurgaon alone in NCR. We are exploring a couple of newer micro markets in NCR as well, early stages of evaluating that. No rocket science required to guess those, but I don't want to name them.
But you are not in Noida.
It's just like I answered that, so I'll start getting into more details. With the right opportunity, we will always be there. So, but we are looking out very, very aggressively. The second, or rather the largest business in India as far as real estate is concerned, both with respect to depth and width, is Mumbai. And we have already put a stake there. Our approvals are very much in advanced stages. We should be getting into Mumbai before 2024 comes to an end. We have also signed up a fairly large deal in Mumbai to bring a Dubai-style international golf course surrounded by a bunch of villas across 300 plus acres of land in the second home market in Mumbai. So Mumbai is going to be a
Next big area.
yes, travel destination for us as a real estate company. So I am pretty excited about it.
But there one more thing which I wanted, which is very prevalent, pertinent as well. In the last 2-3 years, the prices in Gurgaon have, on an average, is growing at around 28%, 28 to 30%. On an average, is it sustainable, Kalyan, the way the prices are going? Maybe both of you can answer these questions.
Sure. So I do not know which aspect of it are you.
I'm talking about the luxury segment.
No, I am with you. So there are two things which needs to be sustaining. The first part, if you are telling me an annual growth rate of about 25-28%, is it sustainable? Definitely not. Because it is almost anti-economic and anti-gravity. Your inflation is hovering at around 6%. Your annual GDP is hovering at around 7% on a real basis. Nominally so together about 13-14%, 12-13% is what you can say is a nominal growth in prices possible. But incomes are growing at around what, 7-9%?
Absolutely.
For most of the buyers, and hence I think anything beyond almost will have that anti-gravity effect. You will struggle to sustain it for long. But let's also not forget as to why these prices went up. Right? There has been a lack of price increase for a good cycle. Maybe 7-8 years there was no increase in prices. Whereas the inflation kept going up. The cost doesn't stop for the prices to go up. The steel prices go up, the labor prices go up on a daily basis, right? And the customer is willing to pay only in the next cycle. In real estate, the behavioral aspect of real estate is such that the pricing improvement happens only in a big way from cycle to cycle, and it appears like a quantum leap. And that quantum leap, when it happens in the first 2-3 years of the initial part of the cycle, it appears like a 25-30% CAGR or compounded annual growth, which sounds unsustainable, but it then reaches a sustainable period. To me, it has reached that stage. Plus minus 5% where we are, I don't think it will sustain. I don't think it is cracking up. If that is where you are heading towards and asking me, is this price going to fall? No, it will not.
It will not.
It will not, because the cost structure. Show me a couple of balance sheets
But
where
what
the
about
margins are super
demand?
normal.
What about demand? With that price, do you think the demand will continue to remain strong?
Demand, I think, will be again at a particular level. Demand will eventually play out. There was a latent demand which was also not captured by the developers, because this cycle where the prices did not go up is also because the demand was not robust enough. People had not been buying for a good 7-8 years, and then people jumped in. Obviously, many factors helped us. The macroeconomic growth across the economy for a good decade has been positive. General economy, family level incomes went up, employment levels went up at a particular segment and above. While infrastructure in Gurgaon is a pain, like you tried to highlight in your first question itself, I am an optimistic person in that. I have been in Gurgaon for 25 years now. I have seen it only improving. Yes, I would love to improve it by leaps and bounds, but it has definitely improved. People are willing to go and now live in Dwarka Expressway. It's not only because of price, it's also because there is a reasonable amount of infrastructure which you feel safe to go there in the evening, stay there in the night and come back to work the next day. So I think there has been infrastructural improvement, and you cannot just call roads sector infrastructure.
You want to add something?
Yeah, I'll just very quickly share a quick small story. I was talking to an outdoor hoarding agency who was helping us put hoardings in Gurgaon. Am I audible? And I asked him in the conversation, so how many real estate players do you work with? And I was expecting maybe 5, 7, 10. And guess what he said? In Gurgaon today, 35 to 40 developers are launching products. And I said, send me the list. So when I saw the list, it was mind-blowing. I didn't knew many of those.
There are 33 new developers who have come in very recently.
Correct.
33 developers.
So the point I wanted to make was, one of the distortions in the Gurgaon market, and I'm open about it, is the premium and luxury segment is now 70% plus in the Gurgaon market. Pan India is 25-30. I don't think this will sustain. This has to be fairly distributed, number one. Number two, Santhosh, if you look at any micro market, golf course, Dwarka Expressway, pre-COVID, whether it was office market or residential market, same location by and large, the price differential was 2x. Now everybody is concentrated in 15, 16, 18, 20,000 rupees per square foot. So by and large, I agree with Kalyan that while prices have gone up, but prices will not crack down for everybody, but price dispersion will come back, number one. Number two, this entire story of 100% sale at launch, velocities are going to slow down.
I was coming to that point. That one day sale.
So people have to embrace the old launch and sustenance and build the muscles for that for long-term success. Please don't forget, and we are very cognizant of it, residential is a cyclical business.
Yeah.
If you don't underwrite taking a through cycle view, that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
That's true. I just wanted to add that while there are 30-40 new developers which have come, fact remains is real estate now is more a financial services business than real estate, in my opinion. You get your cash flows right, you get your balance sheet right on a daily basis, that otherwise you are in trouble. So it is one thing to go create a brand and sell, or design and get the approvals and sell. That is one expertise that you need to have as a developer. To execute on the ground, to make sure that you collect from the customer, deliver on what you have promised is a big deal. The promise to keep ratio of 1 or above, as the case may be, is something which I would believe a few developers, maybe the top 20%, 25% will easily achieve. Because the brand is so strong, the commitment is so strong, and they can withstand, let's say, a little bit of shake-up. If economy goes through some headwinds, collections go through some trouble, are you willing to stand by and meet your commitment? That's where I think the differentiation will happen. It will be an 80-20. Every cycle has shown us that. It is not new to Gurgaon that new developers crop up, right? I have been in Gurgaon for now 3 cycles roughly. Every cycle I see, when the cycle starts coming up, you have a bunch of new developers who come off because they want to ride the high, which is good. But not everybody necessarily sustains. So whoever sustains stays for the long term.
Abhishek, you can. But before that, I wanted to introduce this gentleman. He may not be, you people may not be familiar. I know him for the past 3-4 years. He was the one, his family was the one who built Supreme Court of India. And they have built many of the market buildings, the old Britishers building which was being built by Trehan's family. Big round of applause for He is the third generation of that family who is into now real estate, and they started their first development from Gurgaon, doing a retail development. Then they moved into Noida, and now they are diversifying into residential as well. Am I right, Abhishek?
Yes.
Yes. So, my question to you, Abhishek, one, you can add on to what they said. Secondly, because you have been a pioneer on the retail side of it, and you already constructed two, major development. One in Gurgaon and second one in Noida, which is a very big development. You should go and see that development. Because I'm told that there are around 20 million square feet of retail development which is going to come up in the next 5 years in NCR region itself. From that perspective, looking at the global trend in the retail sector, especially if you look at India, it's changing really in a dynamic way. If you look at it, globally, many of the hypermarket used to be very, very large. Today, if you look at, all these supermarket, hypermarket, the sizes have gone down drastically and significant, I would say. And the every retailer is now not taking more than 15,000-20,000. Considering that aspect, do you see going forward the retail dynamics is going to change both from the customer experience as well as the developers planning as well?
First of all, thank you for the amazing introduction. It's something that we take a lot of pride in because we are a third generation and we are, so to say, a boutique developer. If there is something like that, because we don't want to do too much and too little time. We want to dwell, design, execute, analyze, plan, finance, make sure it's perfect in execution and deliver, because we have a history of delivering, 70 years of history of giving projects and also making them flourish in running and occupation. And none of our buildings are ghost buildings, so that it's an immense thing about pride for the company and for me personally. I think first to say that there are a lot of new developers who come, and we've been watching that. For example, when we entered Gurgaon in 2004, we were on the Sona Road and we were the first ones apart from space, and we were making office buildings, of course. Slowly and slowly you saw many other developers, many other buildings, many new things. But if you talk about this journey of 20 years, how many of those developers came and went is also something that's in front of you. Very few developers are able to stay and endure and cross the challenge of time. And to be very prudent, like what Sir said, we are way behind the journey of actually, organizing a corporate like his, or, post ADS and Max. But it's a journey, and I think that you have to have the heart in place to make a development wherein you are thinking about the customer, and you're thinking only about the customer, what he wants, what is the price point he wants to spend for the product, and what is exactly his need. Rather than thinking that market acha hai, project launch karo, paise kamao aur niklo. And then what happens is then these people get too excited. Then the particular land comes and suddenly they down payment, and then they think about another project and the third project before realizing that the market could go wrong anytime. And when there is not this frenzy of buying, people are going to come and look at your plans, talk to you, understand. मेरी mother को पसंद है, मेरी बहन को पसंद है, मेरे बच्चों को पसंद है. There is going to be the real demand. Real demand will come for only the real products, not for all these people who come from all fields and start launching. I'm not saying some of them might be doing something very good, and I know a few of them. But that's what I think. I think the long-term players are set apart. And secondly, regarding the retail, sir. Retail is, I think we are in density of retail way behind the global norm. I think we are about 80-90% still behind the global norm. So there is a lot of scope, in terms of numbers. And 20 million, I think 20 million, half of that is being made by Intel only at the Aero City. Yes. I think they're doing much more. They did 2 crore square feet. 2.2 only retail. Only retail. So if you look at quality developments, and that's what I've seen in retail, is that again it's the same thing what Rishi sir said. Mostly developments are strata sold. They have no reason of developing occupational and enjoy and malls which flourish and get footfalls. Their reasoning is very different. Of course, it's a very, very capital intensive thing to do. First, you have to get the land. Then you have to think about the financing of the building. Then you have to wait and bear the so many antiques of the retailers. I'm sorry, but there is a lot of trouble in leasing these assets because each and every retailer, they demand, and the whole landscape has changed the way they are dominating right now. And I think they'll keep dominating for some time. The developers will still be kind of listening to the retailers and always spending capex on them, and so it's a very very painful game to get into. So not many players will actually be delivering good retail. So again, the question of supply, how much of the supply is actually going to be fruitful? So for example, in extension where we're building a mall, there is approximately 15 to 16 million square feet of retail, of commercial, sorry, out of which maybe half of it is retail. So 8 million in a span of 2 kilometers and one single road. So imagine the density. But all the retailers, the people there, and we realize, we know the internal everything, that there are only probably maximum 2 million which is going to be functional and which is going to flourish and be like the right product where you won't have problems regarding the product mix and which brand is coming where, the parking, the traffic movement, the vertical circulation, the overall way to lease the product. There will be, of course, a lot of empty products. So being strata sold is an absolute disaster unless it is done very intelligently. And there are a few players who are doing it, and we are also doing it partly. But it has to be a very smart way to do it. And I think there will be a lot of scope for excellent retail. You've traveled the world, Santhosh. Everybody has. You've seen the kind of development that Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai, the West, Europe, the kind of development that it built, you've not seen here. I mean, apart from very few. So I am very optimistic about that.
Good. I think in the retail sector, I think biggest challenge is at this moment is the supply. There are no good quality supply which is available in the market. There are plenty of retail developments are there, but many of them are strata sold, because of which nobody knows who occupies the other shop, who owns the other shop. So there won't be any kind of a tenant mix, the circulation, the product mix. Nobody does that. So because of which majority of the retail development has failed. Only those who have been retained by the owners have been successful because they manage it properly. That's the reason they have seen the success in the retail industry, and also they have seen the rental appreciation, and they have been able to monetize very well with the institutional investors coming in and buying those retail development. You also seen recently there has been REITs. There are 9 retail malls which has been REITed by Blackstone, and it is running successfully. All these REITs, those who are the stakeholders, and also the malls which has been taken over by the Blackstone. They have seen a great success on the rentals as well. So I don't know, Sabna, how much time we have? Okay. Anybody has got any questions? Yeah, to the panelist.
Can I have a mic over here, please? constraint and ignoring the discipline that is needed on capital, which we are all aware of. What lessons are there for them to learn, given that, Kalyan, you made the point, the margins may shrink. That's my take. Margins may shrink, they will not go up, right? So what lessons are there for them to kind of pick up either from your journey or from others? That's question one. Question two is, what pitfalls should they avoid other than the capital over leverage?
If you talk about a small landlord or you are talking about a small developer?
Small developer, landlord turned developer, because out of those 35, more than half are like that.
So the way I foresee, Kuldeep, the advice will probably be different today versus let's say it was 5 years
So
ago.
let's say today with the benefit.
Fair point. I see a couple of challenges for the smaller developers in comparison to the larger developers. Probably. One is I foresee a shortage on the supply side of labor, talent, leadership, and things like that. And whatever, and on the resources side, on let's say financing, numbers, collection कल सवेरे नहीं आया, किसी कारण से cancellation हो गया, you will be in trouble. As a result, be careful about what you pick. Don't buy more than what you can chew. And a good point was made by my friend Rishi, where he basically said it's important. Though he is a third generation real estate developer, and I was thinking in my mind, it is difficult to sustain 3 cycles in a real estate for a real estate developer, and he has survived 3 generations, 70 years. It's not easy to do that. It requires immense amount of fiscal discipline. It requires immense amount of ability to say no to many things. It is extremely easy to get greedy and go for the next land parcel and the next launch and all of that stuff. It is about delivering. Can I really deliver on what I am promising? And am I making a promise just because I am seeing somebody else making a promise? Or am I making a promise on the basis of my own capability to make a promise? So self-assessment and being extremely high on knowing yourself, your strengths, weaknesses, your abilities to deliver and not, is the most critical thing in my opinion. This is the same as a human being as well. Your karmic returns are the highest when you do what you are supposed to be doing. You are supposed to be keeping your promises, you are supposed to be making the right promises and keep it, which is we do as an individual. Same things work for a corporate too.
So I'm going to take the liberty to interrupt you. Remember, I'm not taking the fact that people are optimistic, but people want to cause disruption. So what I'm actually looking from you is to say, what should they do that in 10, 15 years, they are, let's say, among the top 5 or 7 in the country? That's my real question. Either of you could take it, or anybody else.
See, Kuldeep, I think in real estate, even today, if you have to be successful long term, back to basics. We have to stick to our basics. If you ask me a few things, I would still say we are still at a stage where my advice, we're still very new, learning a lot from other players. What not to do? A, don't buy land from debt. Buy land from equity. 2, don't just focus on location, and location. Focus on end consumer backed product quality and product mix, and focus on the experience that they will get. So, lot more focus. Yeah. Well, that will ultimately they will experience it once it is delivered, but it has to start right from choice of location and the design. Lot less focus in India happens today on design. Design has to be customer centered, and it takes a lot of effort. When I see people launching product within couple of months of buying the land, I'm very surprised.
I've seen
it's absolutely crazy. Right? And the third, I would say, which we are following very dearly, is real estate is all about focus. Don't lose your focus in terms of product and the market. Don't try to diversify too soon, too quickly.
Just to add on, Rishi, I think financial discipline is the key, is the most. What is
Also,
success
don't
for
fall
any
into
new
the trap
developer.
of trying to become top 3, top 5. I think our spiritual upbringing should tell us कि अपने हाथ में जो कंट्रोल में काम है वो करो. Input side में जो भी है, work hard, make the right promises, stay true to your larger goal. Don't focus too much on wanting to be the biggest, largest, fastest. That is the sure shot way to disaster.
and definitely take help of all the consultants and advisors that we have. This is, I mean, I'm telling you, like when we started, we were all about that we don't need this, we don't need this, ye fees zyada hai, ye fees zyada hai. But when you think about the overall proportion of what the best minds in the industry put together, how much they're contributing to your project versus what they're charging, it's peanuts. Still peanuts. You have to take the best heads out there. And they're amazing research. So for example, Mudassir sir is here, Santhosh sir is here. The kind of data they have, it's amazing. They have historical data, they have today's data. If you wanted to even collect that, it will take you years. So you have to take the help of best. And you have to look at the best buildings out there. You have to benchmark what you want to build, what is the best product in the market that's already there. And then these people help you do that because you're not allowed to go, check all the services, how the design is and what is planned. So you get to know everything, first know your knowledge, and spend on advice.
I already said that. I basically said I will disconnect with somebody wanting to become top 1, 2, 3. Let it happen as a process. Focus on the process and the input, let the output be what it to be and learn to be happy with it. Otherwise you will have serious disconnect.
One thing, if you're just starting off and consider you're doing 2 buildings today, but don't try and be top 1, 2, 5 and 10, 15 years. I would say consider it to be a 100-year business because you're starting off and there's no number 1, number 2. Assuming on an average you do 5 buildings a year. Across 100 years you have 5 buildings to your name. And that's a massive scale to be in NCR. Consider someone like a Trehan, you have 5 buildings to your name every year. 500 buildings across NCR, across 2-3 generations. I don't think you can get bigger than that. There's no developer known who's done that much work in this entire world. Just focus on that. I think you'll just do very well. And your customers will love you, your investors will love you, you will love yourself.
Thank you. Congratulations. Can we please keep it quick then because we have to move forward to the next session.
So my question is to all the panel. So NCR includes Delhi. Like we only talk about Gurgaon and Noida. Anything you think is happening in Delhi?
So we've been active in Delhi. Honestly, we have a couple of land parcels looking at more. But right now there's a bit of policy paralysis. The approvals are not happening. We've been actively pushing for a standing committee which doesn't exist. There was a land pooling policy which came in, has not resulted in anything since possibly 1998. But the city has immense potential. The reason Gurgaon and Noida exists is because Delhi doesn't exist as a real estate destination. So it's a policy issue right now. We're hoping it resolves soon, but your guess is as good as mine.
Maybe with the new government coming in, maybe you'll see some changes in Delhi. Till that time, I think it will be a pause situation. Okay, good, gentlemen. I think thank you so much for being a patient listener. Thank you, panelists, and it's been a wonderful session. I think all the panelists are very optimistic about the NCR real estate on all the assets classes. We'll see, definitely some sort of price corrections going forward, but demand is there on the residential side. On the office segment, because of the limited supply, you may see some sort of pressure on the rentals. But going forward with the new supply coming in, I think it is also get corrected. On the retail, definitely, at this moment, there is a short supply of malls, because of which the rentals are at high. You don't get good quality space in any of the retail segment. F&B is driving, entertainment is driving in many of the malls. So I think if the infrastructure improves in the Gurgaon market, we'll see a great amount of development going forward. With that note, thank you so much for everyone. Thank you, panelists, for your patience discussion. Thank you.